I am very pleased to introduce Debbie Penzone this morning. Most of us, I assume on this call, most of us know Debbie as the president and CEO of the Charles Penzone Incorporated, but I'm here to tell you that her leadership and advocacy is quite expansive. She recently opened Lit Life Plus Yoga with the intent of spreading and empowering people with the message of wellness, health, and beauty from the inside out. Recently, she opened a new fund at the Columbus Foundation called Lit Love Life Plus Yoga Fund, which supports wellness in all forms, all throughout Columbus. She founded Earth Angels, a foundation that donates money to causes from fighting cancer to empowering girls. She established the Charles Penzone Mother-Daughter Spa Day with a Kid Again, which has been pampering teen cancer patients and their mothers for nearly 20 years, and has helped the American Cancer Society develop its Look Good, Feel Better program. Debbie is the author of Debbie's Club, Discovering My True Beauty for Girls, an interactive workbook to inspire girls to recognize their unique inner beauty. She is a certified yoga instructor, a meditation guide, a marathon runner, a cyclist, a vegan, an optimist, a traveler, an art lover, a fashion enthusiast, and she can add Creative Mornings Columbus speaker to her impressive
Oh,
resume. Speaking this morning on the theme Matriarchy, please join me in welcoming Debbie Penzone.
yay. Thank you all very much. I am so honored and proud to be here today. And that introduction was beyond. Am I really all those things? But this morning, I'm just proud to be here and speak not only as Debbie Penzone, but also share a little bit of my story as Debbie Miller, the girl that I grew up with, because I feel so often we are shaped by so many of those moments growing up in our life. And if we can, capture those and really bring them forward with us along our journey, we can still find that inspiration in every moment that we go through in life, which, the ups and the downs and the in-betweens. So when I was asked to, speak on this topic, matriarchy, I couldn't help but think of two strong women that were in my life when I was Debbie Miller, which are my two grandmas. And growing up, I did not know my grandfathers. They both passed away at a very young age. My grandma, Julia O'Neill Miller, was very close to me, and I got to really see this strong woman lead our family. Not only nurturing the family, but also, in the times when you're thinking back to the 40s and the 50s, she was a working woman, the head of the household with 5 kids that she had to raise. So she was a great inspiration and role model for me as that, when I think of matriarchy, that system of society ruled and led by women. I also am so connected. I loved hearing Troy say earlier that he has an earth mama. I just love that because, I am so inspired by Mother Earth and nature. And so I look to nature too for that, the pod of killer whales, the, tribe of lions, the pack of hyenas, and elephants, and even the honeybee are all led by the women. They're led by that female that really takes the tribe and hunts and leads them, and also mentors the next generation to step up and take over. So I was very fortunate to have my grandma Julia, and I'd love to today, just share a couple of her stories with you that really did impact my life as Debbie Miller growing into Debbie Penzone, and then also connect it to my own self with my life, and also as a leader, a woman leader and CEO of Penzone salons and spas, of Lit Life Plus Yoga, and also we have a barbershop called the Royal Rhino Club barbershop too. So, when I think of my grandma, I learned from her some really cool qualities that I still carry with me today, with is that strength and that faith that she had, and she really empowered us with, not only in her life, but also that work ethic that I saw in her. And she also really gave me that creativity and joy. And I'm going to share a couple of tips that she gave with me that I still get to do and spark that creativity in my life to add that joy. And then finally, community. You know, how she really held together her family community, but also found community in her faith and other organizations that gave her, such strength in building those human connections that are so powerful for us throughout our life and throughout moments that we go through. You know, that strength and faith that she gave me when I think about her, raising 5 kids. She not only had 5 kids, she had 6. And she lost one child. And Benny was pretty young. He was 6 years old. And he lost his life crossing the street right out in front of their home. He got hit by a car. I think of that as a mother losing a child. I cannot even imagine how you build the strength and have the faith to go on after something like that happens in your life. But she did find that strength and faith after that to go ahead and be able to raise the 5 children, on her own after she also lost her love of her life. I have a picture that I just love of the two of them together. So that is Ben and Julia. Just look at that spirit that they had. My grandma, Julia O'Neill, she was an Irish immigrant, and she'd always talk about the O'Neill with a double L and how proud she was. But she didn't learn, but my dad ended up finding out that they added the L when they came to America to give that status to them. But she was so proud of that, that they came to this country, but thinking back to her raising 5 children as a single mother and having to find a job on her own. And her big thing to my dad that he shared stories, and she shared stories of, they didn't want to lose their home that they were in. So she found work at International Harvester, working for that company. And then she found her side hustle, which was as a seamstress, sewing clothes for people, and started that side business. She was so proud that she kept the family of 5 together and kept the roof over their head. They didn't have to move out of the home that she was raising the family in when she had her husband, Ben. And it was important for her to teach my dad and her kids those lessons. My dad would tell stories of the value of a penny that he learned from her, and she would share with us. They would count pennies, literally, nickels and dimes and quarters, at the kitchen table. And he would ask her, "Are we poor?" He at 13, he had to go to work. He was not like some of the other kids that he saw in school and didn't have all that stuff. But she taught him the value of the penny and the family being together and things that money couldn't buy, which was that love that she gave them. But also, the value of the penny was they had the money and the pennies that they counted to go buy food, and they had the roof over their head. And the kids were kept together because back then it was scary for her. Families got broken up when things like that happened, and some had to go to, orphanages, and they couldn't keep the family together. So she was such a strong-willed woman that was so ornery. And I love those lessons that I learned from her. She also had this faith not only in her God, because she did have a strong belief in God and her church, but she also shared this strength and this faith in herself that she could do anything. And she shared that with me when I was a young girl, and I saw that in her, and she passed it down to us girls. Anything the boys did in my family, I could do too as a girl. My dad never thought twice to think the Miller paper route passes down, and yeah, it goes from the brother to the sister, Debbie. And also in my family, yes, the boys did dishes because we all had chores, and they weren't so much sectioned out as boys and girls did this. Everyone did it together. So I was blessed with that family, that girls could do anything with that. So with myself, when I was, growing up and finding that passion in my career, it was what you love to do. And if you loved what you do, you would be successful at life. finding that purpose was so important for me growing up. And I had that belief. And of course, I made it my life career as a hair artist and being able to go down that route as making people look and feel their very best was such a beautiful gift that I gave. And coming to Penzone, going up and not only being a hair artist behind the chair, but starting out like my husband, and then also, going to the business side of it. When it came that time in 2008 and Chuck said, I want to pass the torch. And you are, you know, the person I feel so confident with, Debbie. You live it. You know our people, you know our services that we give because you have given them before, and you know our product. And that is the most important part of a president, of a CEO in a brand, is you've lived it and you won't forget that it's all about the people and the purpose. So I was so honored to step into this role, but it was not easy, and it was oftentimes scary for me, to take over that role, and also, having my husband being the founder of the company. We really had to understand our own unique styles of leadership, and I was so proud of him to let me start to live and guide our brands forward in the style of leadership that I was really blessed in. And it was about community and building each other up and being heard and seen. And I felt so honored. But at first, it wasn't easy. I had to find my voice also outside of Penzone. And you heard, from David, some of the community work that I've done. And I feel so blessed that I got out of Penzone. And on the side, I started volunteering for the American Cancer Society. I was, so honored to be awarded Volunteer of the Year, not once, but twice for them. I gave my time and I volunteered not only with them, but also the Childhood League Center. And when I joined the Childhood League Center, it was a volunteer group of 100 women making it happen for a school that serves special needs children. And it started in 1945. And I was, it was a 6-year commitment. And I dove in, and I wanted to really show I could do it, not having anything to do with Penzone, really on my own. And we had a $2 million budget we had to raise to keep the school going. And I really learned a lot of these skills of leadership and empowerment and inspiring your team with a purpose that I eventually brought back to Penzone. So thinking of your community commitment and those organizations and how much our community needs us with nonprofits and our skills, dive deep into that. And I really encourage you to find those nonprofits that you can also explore outside of your work environment, because I guarantee you, you're going to bring all of those lessons that you learn and that passion and bring it back into your work life. I had a moment too at Penzone when in 2008 is when he passed the torch to me to be president. Now, everybody here probably knows what happened in 2008. It was the world economic crisis that happened globally. And right before that happened, I had a big meeting stating that I was going to become president. And I had all these dreams and visions of what I was going to do with the brand and these, great things that I was going to make happen as president. And all of that had to go on pause. All of that had to stop. When that world crisis, financial crisis hit us, as you all know, the world stopped and we had to look at our P&L and every line item. We had to cut back. But I wanted to make a stance that for me, it was about our people, our commissions, our vacations, our moments that mattered to our team that we couldn't cut back. But yeah, we could do without mints that had our name on it. We could do without nail files that had our name on it. I really dug deep, and I think it was a really great moment for our team, corporate team that I had around me as president, because I let them know what was important to me as a leader. And it wasn't about all the stuff that had all the flair and all the stuff about the brand that, was ego driven. It was about the people and about our purpose. And I had to step back and know that some of the things I wanted to do was more ego driven. And I had to admit that, I couldn't do some of those things now. We had to cut some of these programs out and these special things I was going to do because, we had to really focus on staying in business. And it was a really challenging time that I got through it. But you know what? It prepared me for this past year. I think I learned so much in 2008 and 2009 and 2010 that I drew back some of those experiences for what we went through this last year. I drew back on that, and it really helped us to get through this pandemic, and really make it through as a team. And I'm very thankful for that. And when I think also of my grandma and of her things that gave her joy too, it was creativity and joy, like I told you. And creativity for her, making clothes. I told you about her being a seamstress, and every school picture I look back on as a girl growing up, she made my dresses, and she had this creativity in her hands. That was a special gift that she gave. So we would go and pick out fabrics, and I'd pick out buttons and zippers, and she would create it with me. And it was such a special gift. She would also wrap my hair in rags because I always wanted curls and my hair was straight. So she kind of got me into that beauty sense too. And I think back of my special gift, she always looked at me as being a hair artist as a special, beautiful gift to give the community, because she tried to give it to me when I was a little girl. And also she did a lot of crafts with her hands. She loved to do some symmetrics, or what was it? I'm trying to think of the word for what she created with her hands. And she would give these gifts of these beautiful gifts of Christmas trees and holly hobby dolls, and she would paint them and give them out to everybody at Christmas. And again, she'd have her initials on it, and it was just another way of her being creative and giving that gift. And I think that spark of creativity that she did kept that joy in her life, and kept her in that space where she could give to others this great gift of creativity. So it was always inspired in me, and I kind of brought it back when I did my book. You heard about Debbie's Club, Discovering My True Beauty for Girls. We started cutting. I have a behind me, I'll have to show you a little inspiration vision board that I did when we did Debbie's Club, Discovering My True Beauty for Girls. And we did this vision board of what makes you you. And we started cutting with, construction paper and magazines and, words that mattered to us and our special gifts that we could give the community. And we put it on a vision board. And I was there with these girls from 12 to 18. And in that moment, I just remembering, God, I love this stuff. I love being creative and painting and sharing this gift of creativity with these girls. Why don't I do it anymore? And I think if that's something you take away today, is how can we still remain creative and live some of those moments from childhood that we love doing growing up as kids. And that would be one, that truly, I still right now, you can see my little desk over here. Through the pandemic, Chuck and I started painting and bringing creativity in our world. That art therapy is so powerful. The gift of just throwing paint on a canvas and exploring and expressing yourself is so powerful. And then sharing that with your community, and then also giving gifts to others from that. So she gave me that joy of creativity, and I found joy in it. And then bringing it into our company, Penzone now. I really try to inspire our team that they're artists. They don't only create on this beautiful canvas that is a human, but they can also find inspiration and that joy of, art like we used to do as kids growing up. We also have now these Penzone power circles that I brought in because I want that creativity to continue and share. So these power circles are company wide, and it doesn't matter what department that you're in. If you're in one of our, laundry team, or you're up in our welcome zone, or you're a hair artist or a skin artist, you can come to these Penzone power circles, and we share and communicate together what inspires us. And we learn these self-care tools and mindfulness to share with each other. And that's something too that I really got from seeing her, lead that community and bring in those gifts that we can share in a group like that. I think too with community that I talked about her community of her faith with her church, but also community that she led the family. We had over, gosh, we have a Miller vacation now. There's 33 of us. So in my dad's entire family, there's over 100 Millers. But we would have grandma's Christmas. And at grandma's Christmas, she was the one. She would get on Santa's lap and she'd start dancing and singing and do the Irish jig. She just had this joy of singing and music and zest for life that through thinking back through some of her challenges, she never let that break her. She continued to find that in life and give it to us. And I tried to bring that same value of community and inspiring each other to our Penzone community. And I think back to another moment of faith that she shared with all of us. When I was 25, I was the first in my family to go through a divorce. And as a young woman, a young professional woman, I don't care how good or bad the marriage is. And that was the time I think back to, I really felt disappointed. I felt like kind of a failure in the eyes of my family too, because being the first woman to, or family member to go through that. And it was a hard moment. You're turning 25. I was thinking, what's going on with my life? Where am I? What's the future hold? I shared this picture with you. It was one of the last pictures I have with my grandma, May 14th, 1990. And she felt that sense and she realized what I was going through. We had a moment when she touched me so deep to realize I needed to know that if I wanted to find joy and happiness and make my future what it was meant to be, I had to dig deep in myself. And I had to believe that I was worthy of a happy future. And she always said that, that future, with or without a husband, you need to be happy and you need to feel complete on your own first. And then everything else will fall into place. Don't look outside of you to find that. And it's a conversation in a moment when I turned 25 with her that I will never forget. That one person, her, changed my destiny and how I would never let a moment that was kind of devastating or a failure or something that would happen that you would look like, I fell down. That's okay. You can pick yourself back up. And guess what? You can learn from it. You can grow from it. And you can make that your life's purpose to share that with others so that they realize they too can get through it and still be able to live with that joy and that zest. So, I think of those pillars that I shared with you today that she gave me, strength and faith in yourself is very powerful. And then continuing all your life, don't let it go away, because I kind of let it go away a little bit. Finding that creativity that I believe sparks joy in us. And then building on, like she gave me that human connection of community. And so I have taken that and brought that experience into our Penzone value of our community. And I want to share a video with all of you that we had a TED Talk launch to our new brand in 2018 when we relaunched our company Penzone Salon and Spa. And we changed from Charles Penzone to Penzone. And it was very powerful because the intention was set that it wasn't just about my husband, founder, Charles Penzone. No. Moving forward is about each and every one of us not just our 400 and some team members, but our entire community that comes in to share the experience with us. So I wanted to really empower our community of hair and skin and spa artists, an entire team, to realize the impact that they make on our community. And I'd love to share this video from that night. So Joel, if you can cue that up and share that, I would love that.
I just want to thank you for being with me for the past 18 years, for so many steps of the way. Because while I was working on me from the inside out, you spent a lot of time working on me from the outside in, and it really matters. Thank you, thank you.
Tony Bell is Penzone family. She is Penzone family. She is us.
So I hope you can see from that. I get teared up every time I see Tony. She has just been one of those raving fans that you have in your company community, that, you know, she shared her story of, 18 years she'd been a guest with Penzone, and through some of the toughest times in her life. And it wasn't just the hair and the nails and the facial that our team was giving her. It was so much more. And it was really living this mantra that we kicked off of improving lives from the outside in. So I really feel like, thinking of my grandma Julia and all the stuff that she gave me to live my life personally, I have infused that into our company culture and values as well. So, I hope I have inspired you today and shared some of those stories, that you can think of those strong women in your life, and some of the values that they gave you, that you can also bring into your life and your work. So thank you so much for letting me share some of those stories with you, and I've been so honored and just so touched to be able to do that today. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Yes, and you've been in Zoom meetings enough to know that this is you're getting quite the applause.
Rounding applause. Yay! Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Truly, it's deep in my heart, the appreciation and gratitude.
Well, we've plenty of time for Q&A, and as you have questions for Debbie, please write these in the chat box for us. I see Troy has some. I would like to start, if you don't mind, Debbie. I would like to learn more about your creative process, and especially we're talking about painting and these sorts of things. Could you sort of excavate for us what your creative process looks like? I mean, you have the table back there, the space. You talked about throwing paint on canvas, but what's behind your creative process?
Well, I'll show you one, if you can see, hopefully, over here by my kitchen. Can you see that? Actually, it has words on it. So for me, words are very powerful, and it kind of starts when you think about human connection. It's not just our emotions and our physical, connection. Words matter too. So for me, I start with poems that I write. So sometimes
you're a poet, of course.
No, not really, but I don't even know if they're real poems. I just start with like a theme of, this one is to Mother Earth. So it's like, she is, I am, and it's powered by the moon and the sun and nature. And then I do something with words, and then I just start painting, and I really let that creativity move through me, and I don't judge it. Whatever comes, and I'm okay with it. And sometimes if I'm kind of questioning it, like, I don't know about that, I'll say, okay, I'm just going to let it lie and come back to it tomorrow and see how I feel. But I really believe in, that divine power of creativity that moves through me and inspires me. And that's, the first thing, I really, and sometimes you don't see any of the words. I do a lot of pour painting, which is kind of a cool, free-flowing way of painting. And then I sometimes scrape off some of it, and whatever word pops out, then that word, I guess, to me is meant to stay on that painting. So that's been kind of a fun, I just started that this year, during the pandemic with us painting. I just started the pour painting for the first time. And over here I have a project that comes in the mail, and it has a little art kit that you can do, and you kind of do the little painting to match. So it's more watercolors over here on the desk. So I like all kinds of different mediums of creativity, sparks us, as well as singing and dancing. I think that's really a part of the creative spirit and soul. I love to sing, I love to dance, and I think I got that from my grandma and my mom and dad all had that. Not that I'm good at it, but I just do it anyways.
What's the relationship between creativity and leadership? How do they sort of influence each other?
Well, I think I'd love to share you one thing too. This was my vision board for lit. So I do the vision boards all the time. And I love to do these vision boards. And that was before I had a name for lit, or I think we just gotten the name Lit. And I was like, what is this new brand?
So before you dive into that, give everyone a sense of what a vision board is. I think I know, but tell us what a vision board is.
It's just letting your creativity run wild. And you get scraps of paper, words, you can paint shapes on it, inspirational quotes that you want to put on it, people that inspire you. So with my lit, I really wanted it to be about life, not just yoga. And I had this whole way of, wellness and spirit and light, and giving this really cool space that others could come and find love and joy and community. So when I started the vision board, I just started cutting pictures out of magazines. Mm-hmm. And of what I liked and what I could envision it being like before we even had the space. And I really think it kind of manifests itself. And it's amazing when I look back at this board, because fast forward 6 months later, we're doing a barbershop on North 4th Street called the Royal Rhino Club Barbershop and Lounge. And the building is over 100 years old. And in the back, the real estate guy, JR, takes us to a space in the back that he's going to rent out. Chuck and I walk in, and it's beautiful 100-year-old brick in a really powerful, energy that I could feel in there. And I was like, this is lit. If I painted that brick white and added black around the windows, it would look like some of those pictures I have in my vision board. And it's really crazy how that stuff works through you. And, when you see that come full circle like that, it is so powerful for you to believe too, that this creativity is out there, and it's waiting for you to see it. And then that power of really seeing it and dreaming it and making it come to life is such a special gift to give, not only for yourself, but for the community. So I love the vision boards. I did that a lot when I re-envisioned Penzone. If you think back to Penzone, it was, this old kind of traditional day spa at the time, because we'd been a day spa since 1991. We really hadn't changed the vibe at all inside the salon atmosphere. So when we did this in 2018, I started doing a vision board for Penzone as well. Like, what is the look and the feel? And it was a lot like, nature. It had big windows. It had a plant wall. We had green in there. It had local art in there. That inspiration of art, like an art gallery was there. So these vision boards and inspiration boards, to me, have really guided my creativity to create some of these projects that I've started to get to work on. And the next one that we have right now is, of course, we're doing a new salon and spa in Gahanna, Ohio. And guess what we have? We have a really great vision board of now, what's the new innovation for the new next salon to look like? Because you have to keep continuing to innovate and evolve that vision of what it looks like.
Boy, I would love to see the vision board as a regular feature of MBA education. Thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you for joining us this morning, and let's keep the conversation going.